Welcome to the Autosportradio.com 2019 show. I'm your host, Don Kay. We are live from McGilvery Speedway at 30th and High School in the beautiful town of Speedway, Indiana. Tonight's show is presented, as always, by Honda and Honda HPD, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the NTT IndyCar Series, and SVRA. A couple things to mention. I have said in the last 2 weeks about Eldon Rasmussen's problems. I went up to see him yesterday, and he's doing quite well. He's getting better. He doesn't talk any faster. He doesn't eat any faster. He's in rehab at the moment to retrain himself on how to swallow. And the doctors now think that perhaps his crash at Pocono, I believe it was in 1979, may have caused the problem, because I guess the throat has two flaps in it. One of them goes to the lung and one goes to the stomach. And when you eat and swallow, the one to the lung is supposed to shut down. And apparently his doesn't go all the way, so it's difficult to swallow. But he was up and taking nourishment when I was there, and he was looking better, or looking good. And he'll probably be there the rest of the week and possibly into next week. But he's at, I sent out an email as to how to find him, where he is. Or not an email, on Facebook. He's at St. Francis South. And I'm going to tell you, I went there, and it took me forever and a day to find my way around. That place is huge. Holy smoke. Anyway, this past weekend was the NTT IndyCar finale. Was it a good race? Howdy, was it a good race? Oh, you wouldn't know. He didn't watch it, did he, Shirley? He dozed off, didn't he? I knew it. I knew it. How did you... Did everybody happy with the champion? All right. How about the Rookie of the Year? When I keep saying, and this is what the only thing that intrigues me about road and street courts, there's no passing. Absolutely can't pass. I guess apparently Felix Rehnquist didn't get that word and ended up being Rookie of the Year. Great. And in case you hadn't heard, Harding Steinbrenner Racing is now Andretti Harding Steiner, Andretti Harding Steinberg Autosport. They're moving. I'm not sure if they're leaving Main Street. I haven't asked yet, but I will. So that should be good. And is that kid good or what? Holy Toledo. Jeez. That from the peanut gallery, naturally. Question that's coming up now is Oliver Askew has won 3 races as the champion of the Indy Lights. Trying to figure out where there are cars available they'll put him into, because Renus VK, who won both races this weekend, is looking to move up next year. And I have a friend that's got putting together a team, so there could be a new team. There could be as many as 24, 25 drivers next year, which would really make it good. And of course, one of the questions is, what happens to Marcus Ericsson? Will he stay? Will he go? Most likely he'll go. Charlie Kimball, what's going to happen with him? He's certainly talented enough. He should have a ride. Ed Jones, what's going to happen with him at Ed Carpenter Racing? Will they keep him? Will he move? Don't know. And the word is that Connor Daly should have a full season ride next year. So that would be good. And for those of you who are short track fans, you can't forget the Four Crown Nationals is this weekend at Eldora. And incidentally, the TV ratings came out for the year, and they're up, I think, is 11% over 2018. So things are moving in the correct direction. Also, if you are interested in a vintage car, be it sprint car, midget, Silver Crown, or an Indy car, the place to find one or to get one restored if you have one is a Grand King Shops. Give them a call. Number is 317-820-3595. And the next race for the SVRA is the Circuit of Americas, October 2nd through the 6th. So if you're down in the Texas area, stop in. It's a great show. You'll enjoy it. And there's one more race following that on the 24th to 27th. Is it time to get insurance for your home, your car, or your commercial property? Do what a lot of us have done. Go VP Insurance. They're located at 5004 West 16th Street in Speedway. give Mike Pardee a call, 317-248-0070, and tell him what you're looking for, and he'll give you a price. You'll probably find you get better coverage, as we have found, for less money. Also, I want to mention everybody's favorite doctor visit, the dentist. Got the solution to that, Dr. Jack Miller. He and his wife, Dr. Liz Lewis, have a phenomenal practice. Want to make an appointment, give them a call. Number 317-846-6125. And if you're like me and have computer problems, I was there twice last week. You got to go to Computer Overdrive on Lyndhurst and Crawfordsville Road. They can take care of you. Give them a call, tell them your problem. It is the home of the free checkup. Call them at 317-328-0766. Now, enough of me. My first guest, and apparently my only one at the moment. And the funny thing is, his leader is sitting here. This gentleman is, I've known him for, I don't know, 15, 16, 17 years. He's sponsored IndyCar or Autosport for about 15 of those years. He has got a very interesting story starting in Tennessee and working his way up to Muncie, and how he got there and what he did and his love for racing. If you look at this man, you would never in your wildest dream think he sells cars. You think he is a lawyer or a doctor. He's a car salesman and one of the best in the business. Please welcome Mr. Sam Pierce. Oh, it took you a while to get humping along. You came up, and I think in 1954, your family moved from Tennessee up to Muncie. What made them go to Muncie?
I think they were looking for, have to use this thing?
Yeah. Talk right into it.
I think they were looking for prosperity and jobs, obviously, and a better life than the farm.
You got to talk right into it.
Right down on top of it.
There you go.
I think my family was looking for prosperity as they came north, obviously coming from a farm life to a small city where there were many manufacturers and plenty of jobs that got their attention, and they moved north.
How did you get interested in cars? Now, you got a job at the GM at a whopping salary in the day. And Uncle Sam knocked on your door and said, "Come with me." So you ended up going into service. But I think prior to going, you got an interest in cars and fixing cars and selling cars and got a taste of it somewhat.
It's hard to recall the exact reason I got interested. I guess as a fourth or fifth graders back in the day, we all built models, you know, the plastic glue together, paint them up models, and that's how I got started. My mother had a brother who was quite mechanical, and I kind of took a liking to him, and he helped me along the way to learn a little bit more about automotive repair and so forth. So,
and you came to the conclusion one day after being able to pick up cars, clean them up, fix them up without spending a whole lot of money and selling them, that you made more money than the $4 an hour Chevrolet was paying you.
Yeah, that was Don. I have to say you probably told a little small lie about me.
Okay.
I'm really not a salesman.
You're
always felt like my ability to buff, shine, wax, and clean and tune up was better than my sales ability. So I basically focused on that and allowed my cars to sell themselves. And as we continued to do that, I realized my best opportunity for my family and myself was to take that path and sell cars. So,
And you just told me you had started. Did your dog need to go for a walk?
my dog usually barks when he has to go out, but this is my son.
Oh, the late great?
We're on the air right now. Would you like to visit? Yeah, well, come on down. We're here.
He's lost. I don't know.
Oh,
He's
boy.
doing a lot of talking.
Looks like we're going to be alone tonight, Don.
What, does he have to fold the laundry or what?
He He claims he forgot. Seriously, that's what he claims. All right, we'll talk to you later.
I won't.
Don's looking for you.
No, we won't go there.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. You went into the Army when they came knocking on your door, and you spent a tour over in Vietnam. How was that? Were you in combat?
I was what they call a grunt with the Marhoefer Division, 11th Light Infantry, which is basically a foot soldier.
Did you see action? Did you get in fights?
Oh, sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. Did that get your attention?
Yeah, it really kept me focused on going home.
It's amazing what that does. I was in Vietnam as they were throwing the French out, so I was there before the whole mess started. And while I was there, I made a mistake. I was in the Navy. I was stationed in Japan, and they said, "You want to take a ride in a destroyer?" I said, "Sure." So that's where we went, and I went, "This wasn't a good idea. I've had better ones," and I saw the way they treated their civilians. I thought, boy, I want to get out of here, but quick, and we did, fortunately. So I was there before anything really got serious. But when you came back, then you got serious about cars, and you raced.
Yes, I actually had done a lot of illegal activities like street racing before I left, and it basically slowed down afterwards as far as the illegal part of it, but kind of focused on the basics of buying cleanup to support my drag racing habit. And my oldest son kind of grew up at the Muncie Dragway and around the Midwest at most of the drag strips. Aaron, your driver, came along a little later.
My driver, don't pin him on me.
I think Aaron was born in '74, so that would have been right in the middle of getting into the car business.
What, you were telling me that I think your first car lot that you got was an old gas station that you converted.
Yes, it was a Sunoco station that actually my uncle that had been interested in automobiles and repair had been at that station for a few years prior to its closing. And we picked that. It's a good spot on the south end of Muncie at the time. A little different today, but it was a good spot back then. Just a little paint job and clean up, and there we were selling 8 or 10 cars a month.
But that was good.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, that was good.
And you told me just now you still have that after 35 years. You still own the station.
Still own the station. It's
on the Muncie historical record, by the way.
I wouldn't go that far, but it's still there.
You're racing, I think you were a motorcycle, wasn't it?
No, actually, drag racing is street cars originally, and actually I drove for a blind man when I was 16, believe it or not.
He couldn't drive, obviously.
No, he couldn't drive, but he enjoyed the drag race.
So how did you expand on that? Because this is before you got into the car business big time.
Yeah, it was at 16. The guy lived next door to a friend of mine at the Ball State Trailer Park, believe it or not. He was going to school. His wife was going to school. And we watched street racing, or he didn't, but we did. And he wanted to get involved in it. So we took a trip to Chicago one weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and he traded his car in on a new 66 Dodge Cornet Street Hemi. So while we were there, he had the 426 emblems taken off and 383 emblems put on, and kind of a disguise for the unsuspecting future of that car. But took it back to town and kind of raced it a little bit on the lower level and just gradually beat most of lower horsepower cars, and
I would hope so.
kind of in a disguise, you know.
That's back before they checked things like that.
Yeah, it was just strictly street racing. That's my illegal activities done.
Well, it said, and when I was looking up information on it, it says, are you looking for Sam Pierce's arrest record? And I said, no. So, but there's more than one Sam Pierce, I found out. There's some actor, I think, and I don't know, a couple others. But I found the right one.
There's a couple out there.
Yes. When did you decide it's time to go big time into selling cars?
I think my first, actually my first real thought process was a $400 El Camino that I did my push-ups on, and I sold it for $800. So I thought, you know, that's pretty simple. Clean it up and tune it up and park it outside with a for sale sign, and it brings $800. So at that time, $4 an hour was about $100 a week bring home, and it kind of got my attention.
I would think so. Real quick.
Yeah.
So you, now when I first ran across you and stumbled into your organization, you were in Middletown, which is, you were on, I forget what street, it was a street with shopping and all that kind of thing. And you had a store there that was quite successful, but you had better ideas.
That, working with GM and working at the plants created a tremendous amount of friendship and camaraderie with the people at the plant and in the communities around. I did a lot of repair for guys at the plant, and they kind of followed us to the new car business, so to speak. In 1980, I think the majority of the business owners were in severe pain with interest rates at 19 and 20%, and a lot of smaller places had closed. Next door to a friend of mine who had done all the racing alignments over the years was a small store that had been closed in 1980 for that exact reason. And I just kind of pursued that through another friend who was a Chevrolet dealer. And I think we applied late 1982 for the franchise, and as it was closed, it was called a closed point at that time. And through the process, met different people that could help along the way, and we opened September the 1st of 1983 with, I think we had 7 employees total.
You got more than that now.
We have 10 times that. We have 70 today.
Jeez. You're getting the business started, and you said you had, what does your oldest son do? I think he was in design of some kind. I can't remember what it was.
My oldest son is Troy. He lives in East Berlin. He's in the computerized music. I think it's called techno. You would probably know more that I do about that.
I haven't a clue. Are you kidding? You see this guy back here?
Yeah.
You know why he's here? Because I don't have a clue.
Well, I'm sure he does.
Yeah, he does. Well, East Berlin, as in opposite of West Berlin?
Yes, as yeah, East
in
Berlin.
Germany.
Yes, yes, sir.
Oh, you don't have to call me sir. And you have a young son who has, at the age of 16, started go-karting. Did that, with your business starting to kick off and him starting to figure out a way that he didn't have to work at McDonald's, was that a tough thing to have the two things going at once, getting him going?
I suppose I didn't really think too much about it. It was more of an attempt to try to keep a guy focused, keep him on track, and he just kind of worked himself into being a pretty decent shoe along the way. He
has run all 3 USAC National Series.
Yes.
He's run Neymars. He's run ARCA. He ran Legends cars. And I don't know if he ran a truck or not at one time. He may or may not have run a truck, but in every series he's been in, he's won.
Pretty much. he,
The only thing he's really chasing is he wants that little 500. He's finished twice.
yeah, he's
finished
a
fourth
little
the other
impatient there. That's a hard one. That's a tough one to win. He's I guess he's fine-tuned his abilities a few years back in the racing business by the Bondurant driving school. He worked there for
Yeah.
3 or 4 years, I think. And it really showed, when a guy drives every day, he's right on top of it. And I think during that time, he won 3 Silver Crown races at the big tracks.
And he's rapidly approaching it. And I don't understand why they rained out the one in DuQuoin. It was rained Friday. According to what I saw, it didn't look like, but they canceled it. But he's approaching 100 Silver Crown starts.
Getting close. I'm not sure the number, but it's somewhere between 90 and 100 at this time.
What piqued you? Now, I'd see you when I used to go to most all the USAC races and travel around. You were always there. What did racing, watching your son and sponsoring the car, do for you?
I think it's continued my desire to be competitive and without actually being in danger. So
Good idea.
I think he's paid for that several times over the years. But I always enjoyed the racing, enjoyed the mechanics, enjoyed the cars, and enjoyed the people most of all.
Yeah, it was always fun to walk up because you'd always be there watching, listening. I didn't ever see you grab and say, wait a minute now, this is wrong, do this. I never saw that. But it seems to me after watching Aaron over the years, he's pretty well figured out the cars and understands what it takes, what he needs, and he's got a crew. I assume now he's got a better crew than back 15 years ago, but he had a good, solid crew then. And you guys even got out and leased cars to drivers. I know several drivers drove your cars because either he had a hangnail and he could, I don't know, but I think
We
you
have.
leased cars.
Over the years, I think the best crew we ever had was Paul Diatlovich and his crew back in the day. PDM, a really great group of guys at the time. I think they were really focused. That was their business. And honestly, I chose that chassis back then was a Riley, and I chose that chassis because of Paul and his group that had done the development on that. I was kind of forced into that, purchased by Johnny Vance, a good friend of mine.
Is he still a good friend of yours?
He passed away a couple years ago, but yes, he's always been a good friend. And I think Paul's ability and the boys that worked for him were just outstanding. So
Chuck
I had to
Buckman.
give them the credit.
Yeah. As I mentioned, you have sponsored me, or Autosport, not me necessarily, but Autosport for around 15 years or so, maybe more. And every once in a while, I take a car up to incident. He now has Sam Pierce Chevrolet in Daleville. If you want to find the best prices in the country, you got to go to the country because that's where Daleville is, in the country.
We're the biggest Chevy dealer in town. There's 2,500 people there.
Yeah, that's the biggest in town. And I'd take my car up there with the sole purpose, I needed work done, but I'd sit in a waiting room. And I'd sit there, and I'm usually, they say, well, there's 3 cars, sir, we'll get to you. Okay. And I'd sit in the waiting room, and they'd come out, and there'd be people sitting there, because if I'd have gone all that way and the waiting room was empty, I wasted my time. And I'd sit and listen, and the manager, whoever it was, would come out, and one day he comes out to a lady. I think she came from Carmel, if I'm not mistaken. And she and I were talking a little bit. I said, Carmel, why are you here? Because I heard about them. I heard they do good work. I said, yeah, that's true, they do. So she's sitting there, a guy comes out with the keys, and we got your car. And she said, can I bring it back here again? And he said, sure. But I'll tell you what you do next time. Run yourself out of gas so you just get here. We'll take care of your car, and before you leave, we'll fill your tank up. And this was no small car. It had to have a 35-gallon tank on it. And she said, really? He said, yeah. Come on up. We'll take care of it. I thought, now, wow, that's pretty good. And I've said thousands of times over those years, when you buy a car from Sam Pierce, he doesn't stand behind you, he stands alongside you.
Thank you, Don. We do try to very hard.
I have yet to find anybody that was unhappy about anything. I said, I went up there a number of times and listened. Nobody said, what the hell did you do that for? Nobody ever said anything. They, thank you, and I think they paid the bill. I didn't pay attention to that.
Well, I hope so. I think that's the type of business that makes you successful and keeps you in business.
But it also translates to your racing. I think, you know, you have to, first off, it's a business, entertainment business. And if you got somebody in a car like me that would find that the wall doesn't move very well, even if I hit it,
Yeah.
you don't want me. You want somebody who knows what they're doing, and you got to have a good organization and a good crew and a good driver to, you know, to coordinate everything so that you don't have repair bills to pay. What is sponsoring a team or even a race? I think you sponsored a little 500, I think, or one of them up there in Anderson, it seems to me.
We try to support Rick and his crew, the race with push trucks and so forth as much as possible. Sometimes we do other races with him. He promotes our business very well, just like you do, and we appreciate that. But as far as the sponsor goes, it's usually we're kind of a co-sponsor, and I think there's several, but we're not the main sponsor, so to speak.
You know, when you're heading north on 69, going to Fort Wayne to eat in that Brazilian restaurant, you pass a sign, big billboard, it says, Sam Peart Chevrolet. This is him.
Exit 234.
Yes, I got it right here. I kept saying 34 or something for a while, and somebody said, they've changed the numbers, dummy. So,
Yes, it's changed all over.
see, I changed it, it's right here. I made it 234.
All up the highway there. They've added a 2 to every exit.
Yes, I know. Confused me for a long time. What would you like to accomplish as a team owner or as a sponsor? So what would you like to accomplish in racing? Is there anything that you haven't done? You haven't entered the 500, so you can't say, gee, I'd love to win that. Although I'm sure you would.
I'd like to have 100 Silver Crown starts. I think that's quite an accomplishment. My driver's been Rookie of the Year in a couple different series, and I think that would go well with his credentials. And it shows a lot of good effort and goodwill toward USAC and their organization.
It seems to me that when they decided that they got to resurrect the Silver Crown Series, they brought in Davey Hamilton. He started it moving, and then he was heading somewhere, and they didn't like it, so he went away. And then Andy Hillenberg came in, and Andy really got the dust off a lot of cars and got it going. And it seems that it's continued to grow with the car counts that I see.
Yeah, it has. I think the car count for, if I remember correctly, for the last dirt race, which was canceled there, was over 35, maybe 38 cars.
Yeah.
I remember when we started in the early 2000s, you could take a trip to Phoenix for the Copper Classic, and you'd have 40 pavement cars. You know, a lot of guys went home, but that's not quite the case today. They're lucky to get 20 pavement cars, which is good. But dirt racing, as popular as it's been with sprint cars and midgets and so forth, it's really popular with the Silver Crown crowd.
Are you going to, is he going to enter a sprint car and Silver Crown at the Four Crown Nationals?
I probably won't. We don't run a dirt sprint car.
Oh, do you run dirt Silver Crown?
We do. My driver's not real tough on the dirt, but he can get by. That's about it.
Well, he gets by, it seems to do all right.
His best finish, I think, is second at the Hoosier 115 or so, somewhere in 2015.
That's not bad.
Well, everybody fell out in front of him.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I worked on a team that had a driver, and I guarantee you, when he started the 500, if 32 other cars dropped out, he still wouldn't have won. So that, no, it's amazing. I called him up one day, and I don't know if I woke him up or not, but what are you doing now? What are you running? He said, well, I'm running the Trans Am Series now. I said, really? I guess he's won a couple of times in that, if I'm not mistaken. That's what he said now. I haven't looked up the...
Well, he didn't stretch it too far. I think he's had two podiums in about, I don't know, 6 or 8 starts. They've had a lot of mechanical problems to start with. Axles, fuel pumps, I mean, the basics of technology. But he did finish out east. I think he finished first, didn't he?
He said he's won, I think he said one race or two, I couldn't remember.
Yeah, Watkins Glen. He won Watkins Glen about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And that was his first trip there, so.
I tried hard to get him in an IndyCar because I thought he should be there. I mean, he's got the talent, got the ability. His foot does know how to hit the floor. That's not a problem. And I'm not exactly sure. I think he tested a car once somewhere, but I can't remember where.
He did a couple tests. Ari Landyke, I think they had a car that we ran at Kentucky, maybe, if I'm not mistaken, and then maybe a test at Homestead.
Well, I always thought he should be there because if he couldn't beat you, he'd make you laugh anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, you get in a conversation with Aaron and you never know where it's going. But he's always got a smile, he's always laughing. Except I did find one picture on when I Googled it, I was going to use it and I changed my mind because it looked like he just eating a rotten tomato or something. I thought, no, I can't put that up.
Hard to tell.
Has the sponsorship of race cars and occasionally races, has that helped your business? Have people recognized and said, oh?
I think so. Over the years, people hear your name at the track or they see an advertisement. But yeah, it's made a big difference. We sell a lot of cars to, Cody Swanson just bought a truck from us. We've had several drivers over the years and team owners buy cars from us.
Well, then it's worth it.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but it's definitely a benefit.
Well, let me put it this way. It's worth it because you got to go and you enjoyed it. So if you sold some cars on top of it, that was, everything was hunky-dory. What else would you like to accomplish? I mean, what would you like, another dealership? Have you got, is the one you got enough for?
No.
With all the people you got working, that's enough to keep anybody busy.
Yeah, my theory on the dealerships, I always say one's enough for any sane man. Anything beyond that is just crazy, in my opinion.
And your good friend Ray, do you have him in a straitjacket from time to time?
I'm sure he's been in one.
I don't see how he keeps track of what he does because he's all over the place and he's got every car you can think of or brand. But
well, he's got a great crew, and Bill, obviously you're talking about Skillman's.
Yes.
Yeah, they do a great job. They're very competitive. They drag race. I think Ray was a driver at one time in the Oval Series of some type.
Yeah. Oh, he drove a stock car.
Yeah.
Strangely enough.
Yeah, he'd have to be.
Yeah. And have you been to his museum?
I have. Actually, I've sold them several older cars over the years.
Right. You told me that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got a car, he calls you up and wants to buy it.
Yeah.
And he's got that big, he bought the Ferris wheel from the Speedway, refurbished the thing, which I understand cost him a boatload of money to fix it back up, but it's quite a museum. He's got the cars. He's got. It sure
is. They do a nice job.
And you have a building that you store your older cars in, or did. I assume you still do.
Well, we did at one time. We kept 20 or 30 classics of all brands. We turned that into a body shop. As the business evolved and transitioned, the classic car business has changed quite a bit. So we've turned that into our body shop now.
So where are the cars? I don't have one.
Well, we sold them all.
Really?
Well, they sold themselves, I should say.
Because I went through there and went, geez Louise, these are nice. And they weren't even dusty. I'm thinking, who's the guy? Aaron, do you dust the cars? Yeah, sometimes. Does he sell in the winter for you?
I'm sorry?
Does Aaron sell for you in the wintertime when there's no racing and no,
he attempts to. He's not my best salesperson by any means.
It's occurred to me that you get in a conversation with him, but it's going to go away from cars to something else.
Yeah.
And the people come in there, what did I come in here for? I forgot.
He's a pretty good PR guy, I'll put it that way.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he is. He can fling a story with the best of them. I don't think there's any question about that.
No.
I want to take a quick break and mention to you, if you're looking for a newer or experienced car, why not take 69 north to exit 234, go, was it south 1 mile? And on the right-hand side, you'll see this, if it's up, this huge, huge flag. That's Sam Pierce Chevrolet. Stop in. They will take care of you, trust me. If you want to know why these guys and gals love driving Indy cars, why not take a ride in the two-seater? You can do that by going to the IndyRacingExperience.com. Find a date that works for you. They run at the Speedway. I think they're still running. In fact, I know they are. The next couple of weeks anyway. Or on the road, find a date that works, and in the promo box, put SJ1. You get a 50% discount. Or you can call Sean. Their number is 317. Don't call now. She's on vacation in Las Vegas. Number is 317-243-7171. Talk to her, and she'll set you up. And if you like vintage cars or interested in the vintage racing, you've got to subscribe to the what's now called Speed Tour magazine. It used to be SVR's quarterly. It's now Speed Tour, but it's a great magazine, great stories. A lot of the cars you knew growing up, a lot of them are running today. Some of the drivers that you knew then are still driving them from time to time. So go to svra.com and subscribe to Speed Tour. You'll love it. It's really good. And if you are in town for any reason, I don't know, people come to Indianapolis just to come to Indianapolis. It's a great town. You want to take a tour of some shops, call the Grand King shop. They have a limousine. They'll pick you up, 6 to 8 people wherever you start, and they'll take you on a tour and bring you back where you started from. Give them a call. Talk to them about it, 317-820-3595. Is it hard to get a dealership? I mean, as many as Ray Skillman's got, doesn't GM say, wait a minute, you're getting Kia, you've got this, or don't they care?
It's a little different today. I think years ago it was very difficult to be in multiple brand new car business. Today it's not quite as difficult. They are more difficult to get a hold of today. But years ago it was pretty isolated. They wanted you to stay focused on your brand, you know.
What made you pick Chevrolet? Because they paid you $4 an hour growing up?
I don't know. I guess always my favorite brand, and working at the plant and driving the cars and racing the cars, it was just a natural for me, basically.
If Aaron came to you and said, Dad, I got an idea, and of course right away you'd sit down.
Yeah.
So you didn't fall down.
Yeah.
Said, I think we should go back to drag racing. What would you tell them? Now, there's ladies here, so be careful.
Well, actually, I'm ashamed to say this, but we do have a drag car.
Really?
Yeah.
Where? Where's it run?
It's kind of in hiding right now, but it's a 2014 factory Copo car that we've just kind of tested a little bit with.
And who was behind the wheel for 5 seconds?
We have a young guy that works at the dealership. Worked there all of his life. Actually worked in high school and has never left. He's our drag race expert. Ryan Kirkpatrick's his name.
Well, there was a chief mechanic here, but I guess he's gone or something. Maybe he's in the back. I don't know. Are you looking to do what Ray does and sponsor some kid like he's got his grandson running? Are you going that far to enter IHRA or NHRA or anything?
No, sir.
Why have you got the car?
It's a love for the sport and for those cars, I guess.
You could run pro stock for Pete's sake, couldn't you?
Pardon me?
You could run the pro stock series, couldn't you?
No, absolutely not.
Why?
It's way out of our league, Don. That's a very expensive hobby.
Well, yeah. Call John Forsyth. Maybe he'll loan you a couple of bucks.
I think John probably has the ability to do about whatever he likes.
I had him in here one night, and I asked one question. I almost went and sat down. But I said, you were a truck driver.
Yeah.
How many guys do you think see you on television and say, that SOB still owes me money? He says, probably more than I want to think about.
I have a lot of old customers that claim I didn't work at the plant as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you show them your pension?
I mention it, yeah.
You know, I find it interesting how people get involved in motorsports. Now, it's been suggested to me many times, you know, as old as you are, you ought to quit. I don't race. Your program, you should quit. It's time for you to get out. And they're probably right. However, I find racing people unique. It's a very dangerous sport, and I don't care if you're drag racing going down a straight line, because there are walls that you can get tangled up in and go across the track, and I have all kinds of problems. And as Tony Schumacher found out, I forget where he was, his car jumped over the wall and the only tree in the whole place, and he hit it. So it can be dangerous, but it's fun. The people that do it understand that. They love it. The crews love what they do. They have to, because while the driver, one of them, I won't mention who, is right now climbing rocks in California, they're working on the cars.
Yeah.
Maybe they got a couple days off because of the awards thing Thursday. Only 3 drivers going. That surprised me. I wanted to inquire about somebody. He said, well, he's out of town climbing hills. Oh, good. Isn't he going to the event? No, only the top 3. Okay. So it's just, you know, racing people are interesting. A man like yourself, you would never in a million years say, he's a race guy. Wouldn't think of it. But there's a lot of them like that. You wonder, what in the world? They're in racing. Interesting people that are involved in the sport. And as I've said 16,000 times, in my mind, racing is the best team sport there is, because everybody has to do their job, or that poor guy with the steering wheel can be in real trouble.
Yeah, that's for sure. I've met a lot of nice people over the years, owners, drivers, fans, but surely the most interesting people I've ever met in racing, from all levels of monetary value to job status, whatever it might be. I mean, obviously, you look at me, I was a janitor at Chevrolet Muncie. So I drag raced and cleaned a few toilets.
Well, sure, I'd make that on my resume. But it's amazing where, you know, everybody's come from. I started doing essentially that. I was a laborer in construction, and that's what we did from time to time. And I enjoyed the hell out of that. That was a lot of fun. So when I got the opportunity to join the electrical union, I said, you betcha.
There you go.
So it worked out well. So I have no complaints. But I've enjoyed all the racing. When I went to NASCAR initially, I could have shot a gun at almost any track and not hit anybody. There was nobody there. But they took a liking to me because I was the only Yankee down there. I was dumb enough to go down there and fly back and forth every weekend. And I got to do stuff and be with guys and see what happened and all that kind of stuff that I would never have done any other way.
Yeah.
I was there. And you know, I still think about the guys that helped me and what they did and how they've helped this thing grow. I started in Chicago when I got onto the television part, and I shared a set with Paul Harvey. So I introduced him to motorsports, and he told me what was wrong with the world. It was kind of interesting time with that. I enjoyed that. Well, it's an interesting sport for both sides. As an owner and a sponsor like yourself, to somebody like me that's not in the media, I just stick around and listen and see what's going on. I don't travel as much as I used to, but everything is on television now. Or the internet, I can watch. If I got a question, I know enough people. What was that? I'll get the answer. So it's a fun sport, I think, and I think it's one of the most serious team sports there is, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. It's come a long way, and obviously technology has made a difference in the viewership. You can watch about any race you want on your phone or on your computer at home.
Not my phone. Mine is what they call a flip-flop.
Flip-flop.
And I have no interest in, I keep getting stuff from Verizon. They're saying they're upgrading, they're doing this, that. We'll give you a hell of a deal on the phone. I get 600 to 800 emails a day. I don't want them in my packet. My pants will fall down.
Yeah.
So, but it is interesting, the change. But I don't think it's quite as much in the short track racing. You know, a lot of it, you don't have, I mean, you can't monitor air pressure in a tire, I don't think, can you?
No. Well, they have electronic bleeders now, which kind of monitors it, but nothing in, everything out. as far as the pressure goes.
Well, you're still relegated, I think, with a sideboard, aren't you?
Yes.
See, when I first started, I did that. I thought that was neat. Till
Yeah.
somebody said, you know what happens if there's a wreck? You're standing there. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, but so I got myself out of that one. And I changed the right front tires on Indy cars. And I didn't realize until they slowed the cars down, that wasn't real bright either.
No.
Because I was on the track side, and these guys come sailing by, and went, ooh, that was close.
It gets your attention quick, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it does. But I think racing to me is great, and there's a number of people involved in the sport. We got a 500 winning engineer sitting here. We got a Hall of Fame yep sitting back there, Howard Bellison, and he's always waving. He's like this riding around in town, waving. Hi, folks. So it's a fun sport. It's an interesting sport, and I think I hope you stick around. And I hope if do you see Aaron on a daily basis?
Yeah, when he's
When he's awake.
when he's awake, yeah.
Yeah.
He's around most days. Spends most of his time in the shop, race shop.
Well, go down there for me tomorrow with a 2x4
I'll do that.
and throw something on the floor like a quarter. He'll die for it and whack.
Yeah, I would say he deserves that. That's not my style.
It's funny because when I called him about doing this, he said, "Yeah, I'll take care. I'll get everything done."
Now, he called to remind me, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh well. How's your granddaughter?
doing very well.
She's in college now, I think. I think he told me she's.
The second year at Butler, and she's doing very well. I'm really proud. I'd like to have 2 or 3 more like her.
Well, he's getting a little old for that, I guess.
Yeah, way out of my league right now, that's for sure.
Oh well. Well, I appreciate you taking the time
Certainly.
to come up here. Now, one of the things that really got my attention was that Aaron, remember Aaron?
Yeah,
He said, they're writing a book about my dad. I said, really? Wow, that should be interesting. And you told me there's somebody helping you that's up in that area somewhere. And according to Aaron, he's written a couple of books on the 500. I think he said one on Floyd.
he, Steve Fox is the gentleman's name. I really haven't stayed focused on that like I should. It's kind of been laying around my house for a couple years. But Steve Fox is a pretty sharp fella. I think his first book was written on the ABA. You all know what that is, I'm sure. And pretty interesting. But he kind of got me interested in writing, doing a little research on family and history and so forth. So actually, I've kind of laid down on that project, and I should get back at it.
Yeah, because you got a lot to tell about. I'm sure there's some probably interesting stories on your military career as well.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but I made it through it, and I'm happy to be here, and I want to thank everybody for coming down, and thank you for having me on your show. I brought a few little goodies for some of the folks here.
Now,
I don't think any of the guys wear the pink hats.
don't be so sure of that. I've seen some that
They're really popular with the female crowd, though.
we brought a couple of hats, 2 black and 2 pink. Anybody that wants one, feel free.
Then we brought some lanyards. These are handy for your keys. Although that's as big as that is, I still lose my keys, and I use one of these.
And what is this for? The 1 or 2 credit cards you might have?
This actually wouldn't work for you at all.
Probably not.
This goes on the back of your phone. Yeah, you have to, correct, ma'am. And this guy's smart. He's smart enough for one, but he just hasn't made the transition yet. But these are kind of handy. You can put your cards or whatever you have there. It's always handy on the back of your phone.
Let me see if that'll fit.
They won't work on a flipper.
Well, there's an old saying for my condition, SOL. and I won't tell you
That's
what it
right.
is. Well, if you're interested in these, stop by when we're done here, which won't be too long from now.
And if any of you are up my way and you want to stop in, I'll give you a free car wash. How's that?
There you go. And a free cup of coffee. Maybe.
Thank you, Don.
Anyway, very interesting, gentlemen. I look forward to you. I'm going to start hounding you now about the book. I'm going to send you emails every once in a while. What page are you on?
several pages.
That's good, so we can start, how are you, have you gotten to page 6 yet?
I'm there.
Okay, well,
Way past page 6.
all right, well, be an interesting story. I want to thank you for your time to come here. I have enjoyed knowing you, and what you've done to help me I can't thank you enough for. Hopefully, I know several people have gone up and gotten service done and bought cars, but I don't remember who they were or why. Was it help to mention your name? No, you'll probably throw you out. So don't do that, just go and you take care of it. As I said, and I'm not kidding, when I've gone up there intentionally to sit in the waiting room just to hear what they say, and very impressive. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you, sir.
When you see the sign on the way up north, this is him, Sam Pierce. Now, I'm not sure about next week. I tried to get some drivers to come in, and I was told they're rock climbing, or they went, taking a few days to go to a lake or something. I said, aren't they going to the awards thing? And they said, I was told, no, it's only the top 3. Jeez. I don't know if it's televised. I don't know where, I've never seen anything about it. I don't know when. It's Thursday is all I know. So who we can corral for next week, I don't know, but I got some ideas. Well, until next week, we're a little early tonight, but your dog is barking again. Probably waiting to get fed. Anyway, until next week, same time, same place. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, thanks for being here. Until next week, good night.